in your neighborhood and taking the place of our pastor. That's wonderful.
Glad to be here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I thought I might be able to come into the studio, but it didn't work out for me. So I'm calling from home, and I'm hoping that any ideas that you might have for a conversation today will be presented.
Well, I was wondering what to talk about today, and I was up on the Elon Musk, who owns Tesla and SpaceX and stuff, because I have stocks in that, and so I was looking at that and coming to find out that he is a very busy guy. He's trying to buy Twitter, and he also is going to be rewarded a contract with the United States Air Force to design their new supersonic jet.
Am I correct that this is a billionaire?
Oh, yeah. Multi-billionaire.
A multi-billionaire, right?
Yeah.
It's not someone that we know, or that comes to our church, or or they would come to our studio.
Nope. No.
I see. Well, I understand that perfectly.
Yeah, so the whole I know you drive a hybrid, so
yes.
What do you think about the whole electric vehicle craze going on right now?
Well, that would be interesting for if I lived in a house with an attached garage. But since I live in a condo and I'm on the 7th floor, I doubt that I can use an electric car at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very happy because my Prius, I use electricity, the battery, as well as some gasoline.
Right.
I get very good gasoline, usually about 57 miles to the gallon.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes. So that works out pretty well for me.
Mm-hmm. So I've driven Teslas a lot, and I'm starting to see them more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Pastor Walson just got one, so they were the first fully electric vehicle, and so they're starting to gain more interest, especially with now that the gas prices are skyrocketing, and I mean they're coming down a little bit now, but
right. Yeah, it's New England. The gas prices are a tiny bit better than they are in California, for example.
Right. They're over $5 in California.
Mm-hmm. I know, it's interesting, the things that happen around us that we often read about and hear about, but we don't think about it because we sometimes don't believe it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm trying to find through AAA, because they're the ones that report gases and the driving trends and stuff. So the West Coast is up to $5.69 in some places, and then as low as $4.37.
Right.
Which is the majority, like all the way up through like Nebraska and stuff like that. So Idaho, the whole western, Washington State, their lowest price is $4.68.
I know, and I wondered about Texas. I spoke with someone from Texas yesterday.
Texas is actually their lowest price. They're right between $3.71 and $3.84.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and I was impressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Something we can share with the listeners.
So, You know what's funny? Like thinking about the name of your show, Mental Health in Your Neighborhood, and how everything really has an effect on your mental health. And you think about people who have to drive and have to make that decision whether to fill up the car or to buy food for their kids. That can tax the mental health greatly.
Absolutely. That's why I always say that mental health is important to my co-host, to me, and to those listening.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't. I mean, it isn't just related to a person who has been established as a mentally ill person.
Right.
Because it's critically important for all of us to pay attention to what's happening in our lives.
Right. And that's important what you just said, because a lot, especially in the Black and brown community, when you mention mental health, that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm not crazy, no one's saying you're crazy, but you still have to, just like you deal with your physical health, your financial health, your mental health is just important, and you got to get that, checked, or you have to, not even just get it checked, to be able to have someone to use as a sounding board, to get those things that you normally wouldn't talk about off your mind, so you're not constantly thinking about them and stressing over things.
Right. That's important. And I'm thinking, in our church, that there are very few white people who come to our church.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 3.
You can count them on one hand, that's for sure.
I can't, because I'm one of them. But I've been coming to that church for about 29 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's wonderful, and I know all the people, and they're my brothers and sisters. You are my brothers and sisters. I know I referred to Eric Kennedy as my brother.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly the studio manager is my sister Renee. That's really important, beside Pastor Bruce, Pastor Hobbs, Pastor Hamilton, Pastor Greaves,
right,
and Pastor Karen.
Right.
So that's a whole. Though everyone I just named who's a pastor, those are all black people.
Mm-hmm.
Very attractive people, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm. So, in your 29 years, I'm sure you've seen the fluctuation of members, and
Yes, absolutely. There used to be a large number of white people. There were hundreds of people in the church, in the building.
Mm-hmm. And
now, of course, there's a much fewer number that have been coming since the what are we
the
calling
pandemic?
it? The pandemic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because in our church there has been a Sunday service since a year ago, March.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and many of the churches that are located on the same street that our church is located on have closed during the pandemic.
Yeah. And some of them haven't fully came back. They're still doing virtual stuff, and
I know, and that's too bad that they don't do what we do, which is to actually come into the building and greet each other and listen to wonderful choral music, and I know that you do some work with Renee in the balcony on Sundays.
Yep. Me, Renee, Cameron, Lynette, we're holding it down up in the balcony.
Right. That's great. So that's really great. It makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a difference that you have people that it's your assignment.
Right.
and you come in on Sunday, and that's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's wonderful. Of course, I'm involved with the finance office on Sundays,
Right.
but it's okay. Each of us has an assignment,
Right.
and it's okay because
We're still all one party, though.
we are one body, and we're working in God's house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Joyfully.
Yes,
Joyfully.
yes. I think it's joyful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what else is going on?
Well, I've been busy, so I haven't. On Sundays, I've been kind of working, so I haven't been here for a while. But the convention season is upon us, and so since the pandemic, I mean, last year we have like a semi-season convention season. We had a few months in there, but now the full season starts in the end of February and goes until about November. So I've been really, really busy and trying to get a lot of people who are returning citizens employed, and I'm having a tough time, believe it or not, doing that.
Well, that's interesting because I hear on the radio that there are a number of jobs available that people are not applying for. Now, I don't know whether that's because there's fewer hours and less money. I just don't understand why people would not want to, apply for a job immediately.
Right. I think it's the hospitality industry that's really taken a big hit, because a lot of people were probably in the hospitality industry during COVID and then realized that there is more. In the hospitality industry, some businesses have learned that, hey, we need to up the ante and pay people more, or they're going to go somewhere else. And that's what people are doing. They're finding they have found or are finding other jobs or took classes to be able to get other jobs where they're getting paid more per hour or a higher salary.
Right, and we're referring again to mental health because some people did work in restaurants and places that served food to the public, and other people stopped doing it because food was not being offered to people, and they got jobs in other locations. So it's hard to really say what you need to do to keep your job and to do what you're supposed to do.
What I honestly believe, like, they need to get rid of this whole tip worker salary thing where they're getting paid. Like, if you're a tip worker, like a waitress or something like that, they pay you like less than $3 an hour because they are supposed to be making your money from tips. I really think that should go away.
It should, because some people give an appropriate tip and others do not, and some people every once in a while do something remarkable with a major tip. So you don't know what you don't know.
Right now, as of January 1st, 2022, the minimum wage for a tipped employee is $6.15 an hour. And
the typical hourly wage for other people is $15 an hour.
Right. So that's a huge, huge gap.
Yes, yes, major difference.
And again, with people not working, and it's tough for them to want to give great service when they're not making the money. Not and realizing that also hurts their bottom line as well, because if they don't give this good service, they're not going to get good tips.
Exactly.
And then the whole shared tip thing is something else that needs to be looked at, because I believe if you're one of those employees and you're an outstanding customer service person and you're getting all these good tips, and then at the end of your shift, it goes into a pot and it gets split between all the other waitresses and bartenders and stuff. I don't think that is fair either. Because if you're pulling in $100 and something per shift in tips, and another person barely bringing in 30, why should they get a lion's share of your hard work? So I believe the industry really needs to take a look at those two things: the tip employees minimum wage, and the fact that a lot of these employers are doing shared tips.
Right.
And again,
that's true, because that doesn't seem to be appropriate, particularly for people who are new at these jobs and who are young. I'm talking about 19 and 20-year-olds. It makes a difference for them.
Absolutely. So if you've been a waitress for 30-something years and you know the ins and outs, and you know that your customer service is good and people come because you're there, and they're going to tip you good, and you have a chance to go home with a decent wage in tips, but yet it bottoms out because now you have to split it with those workers who are just there to collect a paycheck, and they don't care about the customer service, they don't care about the customers, they just want to do their shift and go home. But customer service in a whole is lacking. I've seen it all over the place, from the wireless store where I go to pay, get my cell phone stuff, and from there to, restaurants, to the movie theaters. This customer service is just, it's a thing of the past almost.
Right, and you're earning money, and you know how you're going to spend your money.
I was working a convention not too long ago, and I was working the lost and found in the scooter rental booth. And so this guy who was an exhibitor comes up and says one of his employees lost his phone, but he's Japanese and doesn't speak English. I said, okay, well, give me your information, and if it comes in, I will call you, and then you can come and get his phone. And then he goes, oh, okay, great. So he gave me his information. Then he's like, do you know where I can get a mug? Because I need to put some pens and stuff so people can take them when they come to our booth. And I said, CVS might have them or something like that. He goes, oh, I can't leave. I have to set up our booth. So he goes, no, I'll figure it out. And he leaves. And then I had a thought. I said, wait a minute. We have a hotel right connected to the convention center. I'm sure they have a mug. So on my break, I went to the hotel, got the mug, and took it to his booth. And he was flabbergasted. He was just like, what? Who does this? Like, this is way beyond customer service. And he was so happy. So he goes, well, how much did the mug cost you? I go, oh, $22. And he gave me $50 and said, I just really appreciate you going above and beyond. And then a half an hour later, he comes back to where I was working at. He was like, you know what? I'm still like amazed about what you just did. He goes, give me your information. Here's my card. He come to find out he was like the chief events manager of Casio, the watch company.
Oh my goodness.
So again, you never know who you're dealing with. So it's,
well, I said that already. You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. So he goes, I'm going to send you a watch. And so I'm like, awesome, So, it doesn't cost much to just be nice and just treat people nice and just go do what you would want to. I
know. And it's, the bad news that we heard that occurred yesterday, and yesterday was a holiday. It was Patriots Day. It was the Boston Marathon. There was 30,000 runners that started in Hopkinton and ended along the way and to Boston. But there were also people that were shot, were stabbed.
Yeah.
There were other things that went on in the city last night.
Absolutely.
Not last night, but Monday.
Yeah.
And Monday and Tuesday. And that's very discouraging.
Yeah, it is. I usually, in the past, before COVID and stuff, I usually go and with some friends, and we go on the route and cheer on the runners, and we like to be at the finish line to see who the first people come in, and then stuff like that. But it was actually pretty cool yesterday. I mean Monday for the marathon.
Right.
And
right. But the sun was shining, so for a runner, it was okay.
Perfect weather. It was perfect weather for
that.
them.
It was a little on the cool side. Yes, yes.
And
wow.
And then we had the Red Sox playing, and so it was busy. It was busy in the city this weekend.
I know it. And the Red Sox, their first game, they lost.
Yeah.
That was sad.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, how do you keep track of all this stuff?
Right. They lost the first game, won the second game, lost the third game, and then they won yesterday by 2-1. Because I was there at the game yesterday.
Yeah, and there you go. I mean,
and yesterday was crazy because, again, they did the $9 tickets, so a bunch of teenagers and college students got tickets, and I'm looking around and they were just throwing people out left and right because they were swearing and underage drinking and stuff like that, and it's like it's this type of mindset, again going with mental health, that makes it bad for when the teams want to do stuff like that again.
I know it, and it makes me wonder, where do these teens come from? Are they going to college in our community, but they live in another state?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the colleges here in the Boston area,
right.
The majority of them are coming from out of country or out of state. But it also gives the opportunity for someone who would normally not be able to afford to go to a Red Sox game to now go to a Red Sox game at $9. And again, they're sneaking in their own liquor because they can't purchase it there. And then they get there and they don't know how to act because it's not something that they're used to. This is like a one-off for them to be there at the Red Sox game. So it's not like it's a season ticket holder who knows, the ramifications of swearing, because all our sports teams now are trying to be more family-friendly atmosphere. And so
wasn't one of the team members on the team that Boston was playing, wasn't he one of those people that got charged several $1,000s for cursing?
I believe, there was a couple of incidents with either with the Celtics or the Red Sox and stuff that it was either a player or a fan.
Right. This was a player.
Yeah.
And and it's sad because if I send my teenagers to the game so they can learn something, and what they hear is cursing, swearing, things that are inappropriate, why would I want to send them again?
Right. But I just witnessed a lot of these guys getting kicked out, and because the Red Sox, they really don't play when it comes to that. There's young kids there, and they don't need to be hearing all that profanity and stuff going on. So. Yep, that was our $9 ticket day. We'll see what the rest. They're here until Thursday, so we'll see what tonight and Thursday's a day game, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, we'll always find out after it happens. We can get the information on the news, or we can get it in the newspaper.
Absolutely. If they choose to report about it. If they choose to report about it.
Correct. That's true. So what's happening? Is anyone watching our broadcast or listening?
I am pretty sure. I'm on there now. I'm pretty sure people are watching. No one's commented yet.
Good.
We know how that goes. They'll wait until the last few minutes, and then they're like, oh, I want to say something, but it's time to go.
Yes, I know, at the last 3 minutes. Or they will call me after the broadcast is over and say, gee, I meant to tell you this. Yes, I know that. I've had that experience many times because I think I've been broadcasting for, let's see, maybe 18 years. 9 years at our church, and then 9 years with Pastor Bruce at the public broadcasting studio in Roxbury.
Right.
We had a broadcast every week.
Yeah.
So there's lots of interesting things to talk about.
Mm-hmm. So, having broadcast for such a long time, and I commend you on being on the air for such a long time and always giving insightful information and letting people know how important mental health is. What would you say is what would you say is one of your most important broadcasts throughout the years?
Oh. There were many important broadcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor and I talked about things that were happening in our community that we wanted to share that had not been publicized. Pastor and I talked about things that had happened in downtown Boston versus Dorchester, which is part of Boston. And there are just so many people that don't understand the different neighborhoods, like Mattapan, Roxbury, Dorchester. Those are all part of Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there were other times when we talked specifically about sad things that had happened
Mm-hmm.
to people and families that we knew about, and we shared that.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a number of different times that we had very positive broadcasting and also something negative.
So, and as a broadcaster, when you have to report on the sad things, how do you manage, or do you find it important to maintain composure and not really show the sadness or your own personal sadness and stuff like that? How do you get through the broadcast?
Well, my advantage has been because I worked for the Department of Mental Health for 50 years with mentally ill people, and that included working for at least 28 years within the prisons with people who were serving life sentences. I don't really have to worry about my attitude about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm talking about something that's important, I think my voice is reasonable.
Right. Because I feel like, there are a couple of times I've had broadcasts and we've talked about suicide and stuff like that, and I personalize it, and I found it very hard to not get emotional on the air and maintain composure and still get through the broadcast.
Right. I can understand that.
And I watch, like, your everyday Channel 4, Channel 5, and I see newscasters. They go from one story to the next, and it's like an emotional roller coaster, and I just always wonder, like, how, and they don't spend a lot of time on it, and that's probably why they're able to do it. They just move on. But with us, we like to go into detail and really give all the information, and that allows us to be in that moment for longer. And so to not be able to show emotion and stuff like that is takes a little bit more out of us than it would like your regular news stations or your broadcast stations.
Yes. And I and I won't say that I absolutely don't feel sad or feel touched by something that we're talking about, because I do, but I am able to just continue my conversation.
Right.
And I'm pleased to be able to do that.
Right.
And Pastor Bruce is able to do that as well. And of course he has a technique of saying something humorous.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah,
so we know that for him, and I'll bet he's listening to this broadcast.
Oh yeah, he's in the other room. But but I've actually seen Pastor Bruce and Pastor Hobbs and a couple of other broadcasters who have broke down and shed some tears and cried and stuff like that, and still were able to pull themselves together and get through the broadcast and stuff.
Right,
like that.
and that's a real situation. That's not, doing something for the purpose of showing people who are watching or listening. That is an actual experience that someone has when they're doing the broadcast.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've had a similar situation myself, and certainly I had a number of times when I spoke about my children. I mean, two of my sons are veterans, and one was in Vietnam, and the other one was on a ship that when he was on his ship in the Mediterranean, there was a threat to bomb the ship and kill everybody on it.
Wow.
So, I didn't take that easy.
No.
That was difficult for me.
Right.
But I did share it with my listeners. And those people who watch.
And what I love about our listeners, they are very supportive of us as well. So they will call the station. They will, if they have our email address, they'll email us and, just show their support and, let us know that they're praying for us or they're with us. And so I really like the relationship that we have with our listeners. And
I know I had an incredible birthday at our church. Were you there that day?
I was not, but I watched it. So
it was incredible. I had no expectation that in place of the sermon that people got up, went to the microphone, spoke about their relationship with me, and prayed for me, and then sat down.
Right.
That was absolutely remarkable.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was my birthday, the last Sunday in March.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a beautiful service, and I wish I was there, but I was there in spirit. I was able to watch.
Yeah, and I got up to try and thank everybody for what they did, but I was at a point where I was in tears.
Right.
You're exactly right. I was in tears. I wasn't doing very well that particular Sunday.
Right.
And then I came home, and 15 of my family members were here, and they had all come and brought food.
That's beautiful.
So it was a major day, a major day.
Well deserved.
My church family and my natural family. Amazing.
Awesome.
Yes, that's what I say.
I'm so looking forward to when we can get back to our fellowship dinners and stuff like that, because I so miss those.
Yes, absolutely. I do too. Absolutely. Wow. Yes. Well, there might be something coming up fairly soon. I know that we had a Thanksgiving dinner on the second floor, or it's actually the first floor.
Right.
One time that was quite good, and people who are homeless came and were pleased to be able to be served a Thanksgiving dinner.
Right. Yeah.
That was quite good. And I was working that day. It was very nice.
Yeah. Speaking of Thanksgiving dinner, I've already started working on it for this year.
Ah, good.
So.
Well, you know why? Because things need to be planned and taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, you can't wait till the actual day.
No.
There's a number of things you have to plan and take care of before the date of the event.
So
yes.
I'm going to switch gears real quick. I know yesterday the federal government got rid of their mask mandate. So now people on planes have a choice. People on the T have a choice if they want to wear the mask or if they don't want to wear the mask. So how do you think this is going to fare when people just spent 2 years wearing a mask and now...
Well, I found it interesting. I was watching the news early this morning and a little bit later this morning, and I saw that people were inside the T with their masks on.
Mm-hmm.
Some people had no mask and were saying that they were pleased that they didn't have to wear it, but there were a number of people who were in the train holding on to the what is that?
The hand straps.
The hand straps, yes. They're holding on to one of those. And they had their masks on.
Mm-hmm.
They said they're not willing to take their masks off until CDC makes the decision.
Right. I was coming in this morning. I was on the bus, and a guy tried to get on, and he wasn't wearing a mask. And the bus driver goes, "You can't get on unless you have a mask." He goes, "As of yesterday, that's not true." Mm-hmm. And so the driver herself wasn't aware that the mandate was lifted, and so she was still trying to make people wear a mask. And he let her know, and she kindly let him on, and no one really said anything, but the majority of the people on the bus were still wearing a mask.
Yes, that's what I thought. So I don't know whether it's because people think the mask works to protect them and protect others around them, or whether they just don't want to make a change and then have to create another change next week.
Right.
And we'll find out about that. I mean, people will let us know.
Give me 1 second. I have a call coming in.
Okay.
All right, we have a caller. Caller, go right ahead.
Hello, Deacon Louise and Brother Eric. I'm enjoying the broadcast. Not only am I enjoying the broadcast, but so is the whole Terminal B here at Logan Airport at American Airlines, where I'm working, shoe shining this morning.
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow, we're so pleased that you called.
I am pleased to be able to call again. Thoroughly enjoying the conversation. In fact, a gentleman who works here at the airport, whom I never met before, stopped me and said, "I like your speaker because I'm broadcasting literally with a small speaker that has big sound, so everybody's hearing it. The employees, the people who are traveling, and so a gentleman who works just stopped me and said, I like the speaker. I like the broadcast." And he says, "Are you a Christian?" Content. And I said, "Yes, I am." And so I gave him a card, as I have cards right in the shoe shine chair as the people sit and so forth, and they're hearing the station. I got an opportunity to be able to let folks tune in more frequently, and they're really being pleased. I thank God for the assignment and the opportunity to be here and to continue to represent and be connected, but I can't physically be there.
Exactly.
I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and that great conversation. And it's so important, again, to check up everything in the context of this mental health. Even one of the things I wanted to interject was the whole lifting of the mask, as I was working on yesterday, and the first customer, I'm struggling with my mask, just, shining the guy's shoe, and he says, that last night, being Monday, a federal judge lifted the ban on mask, the mandate for travel. So we said, take it off. So I was, so happy to take it off and to be free. In this particular environment, and seeing so many other people, and people's spirits are just, they're really happy. They're happy we're here. And you guys were talking about customer service and this whole appreciative of customer service and things kind of returning post the whole pandemic. So it's an exciting time, I think. And,
that's what Eric and I were thinking as we had our conversation during the broadcast, was sometimes the news tells you one thing, but people tell you something different.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yes.
Even with regard to the mask. So I didn't hear the news directly from the news, and so a person told me, and I was like, oh, wow, I looked around and I could see many people who are employees and staff. So it's like half and half now. Some have on, some do, some don't. But, but I asked one of my colleagues as we were going home, we went on the MBTA, and I was like, do we have to wear it? Oh, yeah, you do have to wear it. Though I saw people on the MBTA also who didn't, have masks, and I looked at the news myself, and it was talking about travel. Mm-hmm. That's inclusive of the MBTA.
Exactly.
So, again, you got to go to the source yourself. If you go to people, they'll tell you, and they tell you how they interpreted what they, or what they heard from someone. Oh, no, I listened to the news. I heard it myself. Like, okay.
I know. That's what I said. It's just, if you listen to the news, you get one version. If you listen to people, you get another. Mm-hmm. So I'm so pleased that you called in to share your reaction and the reaction of those that you are working with today at Logan Airport. That's wonderful.
It's my pleasure.
Pastor Hobbs, have you seen or heard of any face-to-face citizens, like someone who chooses not to wear a mask and was told to put on a mask by another person? Or do you know how this lifted ban has been affecting people? Like, are they comfortable with being around people with not a mask? Have you?
Yes, yeah. What I'm hearing is that the people are pleased to be able to have the option, to either wear it. There's some people who still are not comfortable not wearing their mask, and and they want to still wear their mask, and they have that option. And so there doesn't seem to be people before the stories were hanging out by people fighting attendants because they had to put the mandates on. We heard so many horror stories, but no, what I'm hearing is that people that there's just a much more sense of ease and cooperation and appreciation for the option. The mandate is the thing I think that really was challenging for people. And some folks, in principle, the fact that you're going to tell me they were just defiant just because they just felt like it. How you can't tell me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
Again, yes, because some people who were told that they could throw their masks in the trash were also told that when they walked through the station that they had to wear the mask. They could take it off on the train, but they had to put it back on to walk through the station.
Interesting. Yeah, there's gonna be. I think even again, people. The ban is with regard to travel, and so the airlines, transportation. That's the federal mandate that has been lifted. But people can still, as we at GMCC, we're still wearing masks and so places still have the option of being able to impose their own mandate. But as it relates to the federal mandate, they can no longer do that, and so as it has given people this major sense of liberty.
Right, and I'm seeing, because even riding in this morning, I was telling Sister Louise that the bus driver tried to make a guy.
I can't hear you, Eric.
I was telling you, we were talking earlier, and I was telling you about how when I came in this morning, the bus driver was trying to make someone put on a mask, and he had to inform her that the mandate has been lifted, and she wasn't aware of it.
Wow, that's interesting. And how did that go, Eric?
Well, he basically was very polite and said the federal mandate has been lifted, and now it's a choice. We could either wear it or not. And she goes, "Oh, I didn't know that." And she just said, "Okay, you can come on in."
Wow, that's it's great that they received it and was not, defiant. Because again, like I said yesterday, I'm shining someone's shoe, and I didn't realize it. I didn't hear the news, and so it's going to be like a ripple effect. And it was the customer that said to me, "Oh, you didn't hear it?" I'm like, "No, I didn't hear that." But as soon as you told me, I was pleased to hear it and happy to be able to liberate myself in that moment.
Mm-hmm. So I'm seeing that people are actually respecting people's choice, right to choice, and so if they might give you a look at first, but then I haven't heard or seen anyone say.
Take care. Thank you too. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Employees, go ahead.
So I haven't seen anyone voice anything like, and some people have, and some people, but I personally haven't seen anyone voice the fact that they were uncomfortable being around people with unmasked.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. I honestly have to say that it seems like people are appreciating the option and not the imposition that you have to, and so there's not that people look at each other. If you don't have it, something's wrong. You're the enemy because you don't have it, or you're the enemy because you're making me have to put it on.
Right. But I'm sure that'll change if someone gets on the bus and they're coughing and sneezing and stuff.
Oh well, yeah, Eric. It's interesting you say that because that is true. As I'm sitting on the bus, I have to honestly say my own self. I'm sitting on the bus and someone did not have a mask on because there are situations and circumstances that I still feel that I need to wear my mask, right? Yeah. And so here we are on the train and people don't have the mask. And again, to your point, this guy did not have a mask on and sneezed, and I just have it it's one thing to sneeze, but that's the thing. Like, this is common hygiene. We've always, when you sneeze, you're to sneeze in your elbow. To sneeze in something like, you don't just sneeze out into the air. That was never appropriate before, and certainly not during or post the pandemic.
Right.
So people are going to kind of look, or you work hard not to, but it's almost a natural impulse to, as somebody sneezing without them. That's one thing if you sneeze and you got a mask on, that's all on you.
Right. Yeah.
But spreading all your germs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
That sure is something. Well, I really appreciate your calling and sharing
my pleasure.
your reaction and what others around you have said as well. So
my pleasure.
It would be wonderful for you to call again. I'm going to have a psychologist, someone I've known for over 30 years, is going to come in and be my guest on one of my broadcasts. So
that'd be great. That'd be great.
Yeah. So that's
awesome.
That's something to think about. But I will talk about it when I set the date.
Beautiful. Well, I'll hang up and continue to enjoy the broadcast. Thank you guys for an excellent broadcast.
You're very welcome. Thanks for calling.
Thank you for calling.
My pleasure. Okay, take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that was our very own Pastor Franklin Hobbs. He's working at the airport doing some shoe signs. So if you're in the area, swing by, I believe it's Terminal B, and get your shoes shined up. And be blessed while it's happening. So that was nice for him to call in. Oops. You there? Okay, I'm waiting for Sister Louise to call back in. I think she got disconnected there, so I'm sure she'll call back in. And in the meantime, if you are listening and you have experienced this whole pre or post mask mandate, and you are on the T, or you're flying, or you're on one of the buses, how are you feeling now that the mandate has been lifted? Give us a call, 617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. And also, if you can't reach us on that number, it's 282-7794. 617-282-7794. And I'm trying to get Sister Louise back. And while I'm doing that, I'm hoping that someone will call in and let us know what your experience has been with the lifting of the mask mandate by the federal government on the transportation, planes, trains, and automobiles. And so give us a call, 617-282-0685 or 617-282-7794. And appreciate you guys tuning in to the Mental Health in Your Neighborhood broadcast every week. It's hosted by Louise Carcione, our very own member here at GMCC. And she's been broadcasting for 23 years, I believe, or something like that. And been doing a wonderful job. And we really love having her a part of the Boston Praise Radio family. And I'm sure you have enjoyed her broadcasts in the past and will enjoy them in the future. And again, I'm hoping that she calls back before the end of the broadcast and see what happens, and see if I can get her on the phone. And we can do it that way as well. She hung up. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Again, this is Mental Health in Your Neighborhood. Louise Carcione. She's on every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So tune in, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much. Have a blessed week.
Talk to all of you next week. And I want to thank Rashani for joining us.